I got 7:02, so everybody to stand up, please sit down. It's 7:02. Y'all still got that finished. I mean, I want y'all to love each other, but wait till I get instruction if you don't mind. Just so we can keep on, so the other folk ain't got to sit here and wait all night, okay? All right. Okay, we're in Proverbs, chapter 19. We haven't quite gotten 20 yet, but chapter 19. And we're supposed to be starting at verse 13.
14, 26.
Right, 13, 14, come on in. 13, 14, and 26. 13, 14, and 26. Okay? All right. And, as you know, which everybody should know by now, that Proverbs is a very practical book. And basically what Proverbs does is it tries to give you practical information about how to conduct your life in a way that will make your life easy. Okay? So if you want to make your life hard according to the Bible, do the opposite of what Proverbs says. If you want to make your life easy, then follow what Proverbs says. Okay? All right. We ready? You ready? Yeah. Okay, good. All right, here we go. And we started at 13. And 13 and 14 really kind of serve as a contrast one to another. But 26 kind of, it still adds some flavor to what those verses are about. So here's what verse 13 says. We're in Proverbs 19, verse 13. A foolish son is the calamity of his father, and the contentions of a wife are a continual dropping. House and riches are the inheritance of fathers, and a prudent wife is from the Lord. Verse 26 says, he that wasteth his father and chases away his mother is a son that causes shame and bringeth reproach. So, now the first part of 14 and 26 really tie in together, right? Right? Yeah, just say right anyway. Right? So houses and riches are the inheritance of a father, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. Slothfulness, I'm sorry. A foolish son is the calamity of his father, and the contentions of a wife are a continual dropping. House and riches are the inheritance of fathers, and a prudent wife is from the Lord. Good evening. Good evening. So, all right. First thing it says is what causes a man problems. Then it says what causes a man joy. Okay? So, number one, it says that if you got a son that does not have good sense, that makes the father upset. Okay? Then it also says if you have a contentious wife, then that really makes your life miserable. And when it says continuous droppings, you know what that means? Or a continual dropping?
Like nagging?
Huh?
Like nagging?
Yeah, it's like nagging. It's absolutely like nagging. What do you normally think of when someone says droppings? Huh? Right. Or the waste that comes out of a person's body after it is moved all the way through his what do you call that system? Digestive system. You call them droppings, right? So he's saying if you got a contentious wife,
Full of it.
it's like somebody always dropping that on your head.
It's the modern day term there on me.
Right. So in a sense, what Solomon is saying is that, listen, the two things that will tear a man down are a son that hadn't got good sense and a wife that's crazy. Okay? He said those are the two things. That's if you got that, you're in trouble. Okay? Now, if you look at 26, 26 also says, he that wasteth his father and chases away his mother is a son that causes shame and brings reproach. So it says the same thing in that sense, what? That a son that does not adhere to his father's instruction then causes father pain, right? But likewise, it also goes on to say that a son that does not respect his mother is also a difficult situation, okay? Now, if you go back to 14, it does a contrast because it says that a man that gets a prudent wife, has gotten a gift from God. Okay? Now, what is a prudent wife? What do you think a prudent wife is? Huh? A what? That would be nice, but that ain't real. Well, because he didn't say obedient wife, right? So if he doesn't say obedient, he doesn't mean obedient. So what does prudent mean?
I think wise.
Yes. Right. He's saying a woman that's sensible and has wisdom. He says, so a man, so if you have a wife that has wisdom, now wisdom may mean she knows when to be obedient, right? Okay. But wisdom, he's saying, if you get a prudent wife, you've gotten a gift from God. Okay? Now everybody don't get gifts from God. How do you know that? Because in the verse before that, he just told you what? You can get a contentious wife. And a contentious wife is like, somebody's dropping, stuff on your head all day long. All right? Huh? She's what?
She ain't never satisfied.
No, she ain't. A contentious wife, right. Because a contentious wife is one that don't know how to shut up. That's what he's saying. One that always running her mouth, like you say, ain't never satisfied, can't never accept what you got, and always want more than what you got, and so therefore they always cause problems because they don't know when to keep their mouth shut. Okay? That's basically what they're saying. Now, so, from a yes, sir.
Could it also be like they want to be the head of the household?
Well, that's what a woman is who can't keep her mouth shut.
Say that again, I didn't hear you.
His question was, could a contentious wife be a woman that wants to be head of the household? And I said, of course. That's the woman that don't want to keep her mouth shut.
You're right.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm up here, because I'm always right. Of course. Yes, sir.
Basically what you say, that's a woman that just don't got no respect for her.
Absolutely. And that's why he said what? It's like continual droppings on your head. Why? Because, what Solomon is trying to point out, in his contrast is simple, is that everybody needs to understand how to stay in their lane. So he's really addressing the whole spectrum of family life and saying what? That he used the term son, and the reason why he used the term son other than sons and daughters is because if your daughter acted up, you could do something to her that y'all can't do today, which is kill her. Right? Anybody gonna say nothing to you? You just say, hey, huh?
Order in this world, you take
You're right, you could take out the world, it wasn't no big deal. But your son was a little different. See, your son, once he became grown, you couldn't do that for him, right? Because then, you'd be going against the law, right? So he's really setting the tone for a family environment and saying what? That everybody has to stay in their lane, right? So if I have a wise wife, right, that sets the tone for a good family life, because that's a gift from God. If I have a son that understands and respects not just me, but also respects his mother, then that sets the tone for a good family life. And therefore, I have to accept that what? That is a gift from God. So I have to treat it like it's a gift from God. Good God. Amen. Right? You follow what I'm saying? And so that's why he's put that in perspective like that, so you can see the contrast and see how God expects us to respond. Now, if you don't mind me taking this as just a moment to give a few practical advice, okay? Somebody called in, want to hear? Yeah, they want want to hear. They need some advice too, right? Okay. So if you think about, I mean, if you think about what Solomon just said, it makes perfectly good sense, right? It just does. Now I know it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard for wives to feel that makes sense. I know intellectually you're saying it. I'm talking about in action. Because it's difficult to say to yourself, well, I'm smart too. I'm just as educated. I'm all this other stuff. Why should I let him do this? Right?
Right.
Yeah, I know I'm right. So go ahead and say I'm right. Don't play. But here's the irony of it. You can be on a job and you and your boss could have the same education, right? Or you can have more than your boss, and your boss can say something stupid, but you don't say, I ain't going for that program. You know what you say? Man, you the boss. Man, you gonna do it stupid, and we gonna do it stupid. And you know what you say? I'm gonna figure out how to help make what you did stupid work.
That's right. Amen.
Right? The reason why this doesn't work in our home is because we look at our home different than what the Bible has gauged it to be. See, what Solomon is looking at is one simple concept. That is a marriage is a contractual relationship. In this contractual relationship, he's saying what? You do your job, let your children do their job, and then husband, you do your job.
Everybody got a role.
Everybody got a role. Everybody do their role, right? So he's saying what? Husbands, it is a gift from God, right? So if God gives you a gift, what do you think your role ought to be towards that gift? Treasure it. Why? Because any gift from God, you should treasure, right? And so to the wife is saying what? Use some wisdom, right? If you're using wisdom, then your mindset should be similar to this. What? I gotta always remember that I have a job to do when it concerns my husband. Just like you prop your boss up, you should be thinking, let me prop my husband up. Right? I mean, this is what it is. Is that what? You know, if you are, think about it. If you are a good employee, that's how you view your position.
Yes.
It's to what? Make my boss look good. Right. But we don't necessarily think that way about husbands. Sometimes we make it our business to what? Show them that they ain't got good sense. Right? Yes.
I'm going to agree with you wholeheartedly.
You what? What did she say?
She said she agreed with you.
You said you agree with me.
Know that
Elizabeth. This is the big one. I'm coming home to see you. Thank you, Liz.
No, the reason I kind of, no, the reason I do agree with you is I was thinking back to my first marriage and my first husband. And he was the love of my life. And I blew it because I had to be Miss All That. And if I had to go back to it again, I would give him everything I ever could.
Oh, wow.
So.
You want to conduct the class?
No,
Give that advice to the rest of the wives in here?
well, I'm just saying that, you know,
No,
I didn't know
I
what
agree with you.
had.
No, right. I mean, I say that, but I agree with you. I think that again, if you look at it like this is my position description, right? This is my position description. Then you don't be thinking to yourself, well, I got to outsmart you, I got to show you this, I got to show you that. And the same thing, if it's your position description, if I'm the husband, I'm not looking at it in any other way except what this is a gift from God. And so I need to treasure that gift because it's a gift from God. And so all gifts from God I know should be treasured, so I must take care of, right? See, if I view it that way, it changes how I think, how I respond to you, and how I act towards you. Now, but by the same token, if I have a what kind of wife here? A contentious one, then...
That was number 2.
Huh? Right, okay. Sometimes the same, but if I have a contentious wife, that sets the tone as well, right? Now, here's the thing. If you look at these verses, right? If you look at these verses, who do they focus on as being the object, and who's the subject?
The man is the object, and the woman is the subject.
So what did that suggest to you?
That the man shouldn't be a fool.
Bingo! Liz, you so smart today. This is exactly what he's saying, right? So what he's saying basically is this. If you have a contentious wife, who selected her? You did. So there, because think about how men got wives. Back then, you didn't get a wife like you get a wife today. Right? You got a wife because you said, you know what, I'm in the ground. Yeah. Dad, you know what, I think she's the good one for me. So your dad said, well, okay, that's who you want. So he went to your father and said, listen, hey, you know what? My son wants your daughter. And here, what we'll give for her. He said, okay. So fathers did the selecting of the wife. So that was really speaking to what? If you have a contentious wife, you are the fool. Because you picked them. Now, even though that was true back then, it's still true right now. It's true right now. Because it's not a man in here that married a contentious woman that didn't know she was contentious before he married her. Right? I mean, he knew you had a big mouth before he married you. It ain't like you was all quiet. You was quiet all through the dating period. Then y'all got married and you started talking. That ain't how it was. You were talking junk when y'all was dating. You know what he just said? I don't care right now. Why? Because he wasn't thinking with his brain. And that's what made him what? A fool. Because one thing Solomon always says is what? You better always think with your brain. Okay? And then when y'all got married, then he stopped thinking, then he started to see it, be like, you know what? What in the world I done got myself into? Right? But it's too late now, right? And the same thing goes with the son. Okay? You think about it. Who controls the attitude of children? Parents. Parents control the attitude of children. So if you got a 16-year-old that's driving you crazy, whose fault is it? It's yours. Huh? Yes, it is. Yeah, you might not want to admit it, but it is. Liz, let me help you out. Because I knew I had to help you out on this one. Okay? Now here's the thing. I know that oftentimes we say, well, but I didn't raise them that way. They was influenced by the world. No, you did raise them that way. And here's why I'm saying that, okay? I'm not saying that children will be perfect. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that children will act their age, and if they act their age, that's the way children act.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm saying if they're driving you crazy, you are the fool. Let me tell you why. Let's say for the sake of argument, I got a 16-year-old kid. And I say to my 16-year-old, I want you home by 11 o'clock because that's your curfew. That's what I say. Home by 11 o'clock because that's your curfew. The child comes home 12 o'clock drunk.
No, Dad.
12 o'clock, no, just come on, 12 o'clock drunk, okay? And so I let them in the house, and they're drunk. Didn't I tell you come on 11 o'clock? Had me worried about you all night? Well, I was at the party, and blah, 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 blah. Well, wait till tomorrow. You wait till tomorrow when you tip up. I'm going to get you behind. Wait tomorrow. Whose fault is that? It's mine, because if I had any sense, I wouldn't unlock the door. I would have kept the door locked. I just sleep on the front porch. See, it's still your fault.
No, it isn't, because I was a good mother and my kids. I was talking about kids.
Let me move on to the next verse.
16 and being jerks at times.
I'm telling. Okay, you can phrase it the way you want to phrase it. What I said was, if your child is driving you up a wall, it's your fault. Because number one, if I brought them up right from the time they was 2 days old, if I brought them to 2 days old, they understand me as a parent. See, if you don't think your child doesn't understand you as a parent, you don't know your child. You got to go back and think of how you thought about your parents. See, children know who you are growing up. They don't just find out who you are when they're 15. They know who you are at 5 days old. They know who's going to come and get them when they cry at 5. 5 days, not 5 months, 5 days. They know in 5 days, or they know if I keep on crying, somebody gonna come. Now once they figure out you ain't gonna come, they stop crying. It's just that simple. Now, if you start the routine, they keep the routine up. And if you keep on doing it, they keep on doing it. And after a while, it gets to the point where in your mind is, I told you different. Yeah, but you taught me different than what you told me. That's the point I'm drawing out to you.
All I'm saying is, I do agree with you, and at 16,
Then why are you acting like you ain't
will
agreeing?
drive you up a wall sometimes.
No.
Oh, yeah.
You know, okay. Let me say it to you in English one more time. Because obviously you didn't get it. See, my point to you is simple, Liz. So I need you to what? I need you to stop. I need you to stop thinking like you think and listen to what I'm saying. Okay? Your child drove you up a wall because you let them drive you up a wall. I'm trying to tell you, if my child did that, they wouldn't be driving me up a wall because I would just lock the door and wouldn't care. See, for example, when my son stayed out after curfew, you know what I did? Nah. Door was already locked. And you know what they knew? Here's what my children knew. If you come home after curfew, you better not ring that doorbell. You better not call my phone. You better not do nothing to wake me up, or else there's going to be some consequences and repercussions. And you don't want to deal with that. Okay? So you know what he did? He slept in his car. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he wasn't driving me crazy. You know who was driving crazy? His mama.
I am going to brag about my two daughters.
Go ahead.
They were never late.
There you go.
They were never, they never got into trouble. I got one call from one teacher
But then why are
once.
you debating then,
Because
Liz?
they drive me nuts sometimes.
That's your fault. You just said they were good girls.
They were.
Didn't do anything. So why are you going crazy? That's you.
Because they're nuts. Like me.
Oh,
Well, this is what you just told me, Liz. That they didn't drive you nuts. You already a nut.
That's right, Pastor.
Liz, see, we were working together on that at first, and you was agreeing with me. I take back my heart attack. I ain't coming to see you. Okay, verse 15. Slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger. 24 says, a slothful man hideth his hand in his bosom, and will not so much as bring it to his mouth. Both of these are saying the same thing, and they deal with lazy people. And basically what it's saying is this, is that there are people in this world that are so lazy that they won't even take care of themselves.
Amen.
And they're always looking for somebody else to take care of them. Okay? Right? There are people that if you were to give them the choice to work for a meal or starve, they would starve. Okay? And that's just a fact of life. All right? Now, this is tell you how I put that into practical application. All right? There have been times, I don't do it as much as I used to do it now, because you can't do things like you used to do, because folk ain't the way they used to be. Okay? There are times when I'll be driving, coming to different places, church or going to work when I was working, and there'll be guys on the corner saying, here go a sign, we'll work for food. And I would say, okay, get in the car, and I'm going to take you to cut some grass. Well, no, I can't. I got my stuff over here. See all my clothes over here and everything. Well, how you going to work if you worried about that stuff? See, the sign is a lie then, isn't it? Because if you go work for food, when I say get in the car and I'll take you to cut the grass, you wouldn't say I can't leave because my clothes over there. Right? So they have made a decision. I don't want to work. I'll starve first. I just want a handout. Right? Because if you really want to, here's my basic, unless there are some issues that are beyond, just laziness. But for most of it, it's just laziness. Okay? And laziness is learned, by the way. Laziness is learned. Okay? Laziness is learned. Now, ladies, I know y'all think I'm hard on y'all, but I'm trying to help y'all. Now, this will not affect your generation right now. I'm ready. It won't affect you at all. What it's going to affect is the next generation. okay? Because it's too late for some of y'all. It's the next generation. When I say you all, I don't mean you ladies. I mean, I mean the guys in your generation, okay? So if you have a son, my point to you is, if you have a son, don't teach your son to be lazy. Okay, that's what I mean when I say laziness is learned. Because oftentimes, now I'm not saying all of you guys, but oftentimes, if you have a household where you have a daughter and a son, you treat your daughter differently than they treat your son. That your daughter, she in there cooking, she's cleaning a whole lot, and your son doesn't have to do all that kind of stuff. And so the son grows up expecting someone to take care of him. And I can tell you this right now: if you got a man in your life who expects you to take care of him, it's because his mama spoiled him.
That we raised our daughters and they be our sons. Because I have a daughter and a son, I realized where I made my error.
Yeah.
Because I raised my daughter.
Right, and that's what people do. And you don't mean no harm by it, but that's what people do oftentimes. What happens is it makes it bad for the next generation. That's what I'm saying. See, the woman that gets him is going to be upset because he's going to expect what you give, and so he's going to compare every woman to what you did. And if they don't meet that standard, then he's going to dump them. But that ain't fair. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying that it's a learned behavior. Laziness is a learned behavior. And if you think about it, again, this is generalities, okay? I'm not saying this applies to everybody, it's generalities. If you think about it, a woman will work 2 jobs before a man will. You know? I'm not saying no man work 2 jobs. I'm just saying in general, a woman will work 2 jobs before a man will. And that's a learned behavior. Because because someone has put in you based on what they did, you saw them doing it, and so you did it, right? But the boy, well, you gonna play, and you told the girl, you gonna come in and let me show you how to cook. You don't even know how to cook, so what you did was when you was trying to help her by showing her everything, you let the guy off the hook. And now you're wondering why he like he is. And some of these guys are grown. They're grown, and you mad at their wives because their wives don't treat them the way you treated them. So I'm just saying it's a learned behavior. Okay? Now,
Pastor,
yes, sir.
I have a question in regards to strangers, begging. So my philosophy is I try to be a kind-hearted person, but if I see someone who is young and strong, my thought is they could work. But,
Yes.
however, I think also there's a Bible verse where it says that sometimes when you entertain a stranger,
Right.
you're entertaining an angel.
I
So
agree
what's
with
your
that.
thoughts on that?
My thought is this: if the angel can work, he can work. That's my thought. Because now here's what I'm saying. That I see your hand, my dear. Here's what I'm saying. That. Okay, I mean, and the Bible does say something like this, right? If it's within my power to give, to bless, right? Right. But see, I'm not turning you down. I'm giving you an alternative. Right? Because the Bible also says what? You need to work. So I'm not denying you. I'm telling you, hey, listen, I got plenty of grass that can be cut around here. I got some hedges that can be, I got something you can do, but I'm not just going to give you the money. And that ain't just true for strangers. That's true for folks that I know that's in my family when they dad. Even if they say daddy, okay. Gotta do something around here. I see you here. I'm coming to her. I'm gonna come back to you. All right, brother? Yes.
I don't know if y'all noticed it. We have a guy that right there at 7-Eleven that stands on Sundays out there with a sign.
Mm-hmm.
Last Sunday I asked him to come to 7-Eleven and I was gonna buy him a sandwich. The man with the sign said, "No, give me the money."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Well, you're not hungry then. Why you have a sign saying I'm hungry?"
Right.
He was hungry for.
He was hungry, but not for money. Not for food.
I mean, he's there every Sunday. I don't know if y'all see him when y'all come into church, but he's there every Sunday saying the sign says, "I'm hungry."
Yeah.
And I was gonna buy him a sandwich. He's like, "No, I want the money."
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's true. It could be an angel, no doubt. But basically, the premise that I take is what the scripture says. That if I know you said young. I don't care if you're young or old. Number one, let's say you're old. Let's say you look like you're older than I am. then my thing is, why aren't you getting Social Security?
Yes, he don't care.
You know what I'm saying? What's up with that? Right? But let's say you didn't get Social Security for some other reason, because I can't think of which one you wouldn't get it for, but let's say you ain't getting it. Okay, I don't know what happened. You know, you're illegal alien or something like that. I should say illegal. You are illegal immigrant. Okay? Okay, still, you know what? This is how I look at it. If you can stand up on this corner, in the heat or in the cold for 8 hours, you can stand up at McDonald's and flip them fries. You can do something. Yes, sir.
That's really, like that lady said over there about, guy had it, and the sign said, I'm hungry. You know, and me, especially if I got the money, I was up in Piggly Wiggly section at the time. And I was willing to go in the store and buy this guy dinner, whatever it cost. But he rejected, say, man, that's all right, and start cussing me out walking down the street. On the other hand, and they even had a report on TV about this. A lot of guys out there panhandling, they consider that as a job, as well as getting a job. They prefer to do it, and that's what they got cars and everything.
Right.
Right across the street.
Right. You're right. I mean, as a matter of fact, there used to be a guy, I don't see him anymore, but there used to be a guy that used to come to that Shell service station, and his car was parked there. And he would always say this, listen, can you help me by putting gas in my car? You know, can you fill my car with gas for me? He said, because I need to get to work, but I ain't got no gas. Now, the first time, he got me. But then I happened to go by there again, and he's sitting there again. I'm like, hold on now. You got a paycheck by now, so you should have put some gas in your vehicle by now. You know, but like you say, you know, that's what I'm saying. For me personally, I'm always going to offer you a way to get the money and not the money. You know, I'm gonna offer you, even if it's food, I'm gonna offer you a way to get some food by saying, let's go work for it. Because you know what? There's plenty of stuff you can do. You can clean the bathroom up, you can do whatever, and then you ought to feel better about yourself because you did it. And so when they say, no, I can't leave because of whatever reason, I just say, okay, fine, and we're gonna move on. Because apparently, you're going to starve than eat. You know, yes, last question, we'll go get back in the lesson.
You know, there's an old saying, give them a rod and not the fish sandwich.
Absolutely.
Fishing rod.
That's right. And the new saying is, give them their fry basket. I got to move, Liz. Let me move on. Yeah, they get in the fry, let them flip, right? Let them learn to flip the fry basket. Okay. 18. Because I want to get through the chapter. 18. Chasten thy son. I'm going to stay here just for a little while, all right? Chasten thy son while there is hope, and let not the soul spare for his crime. Chasten thy son when there's hope, and let not the soul spare for his crime. And that's saying this. Listen, stop letting your children tell you when to stop whooping them. Stop letting your children dictate when you're going to stop whooping them. That's what this is saying. In other words, you know, just because the child is crying a lot, don't stop going at them. It's saying, listen, you establish the punishment, and you stick to the punishment. And you better do it while they are young enough, because after a while, the punishment will have no effect. So you better start doing it early and often, because it will have no effect. And let me give you some quick parenting advice, because some of you all, I know, need some parenting advice. Okay, so let me give you some right now, all right? Or some grandparenting advice. Let me give you both grandparenting and parenting advice. Okay, first let me give you the grandparenting advice, because that's the easiest to give, okay? If you're a grandparent, stop acting like you've never been a parent. Let me say it one more time. If you're a grandparent, stop acting like you've never been a parent. Okay? So y'all understand what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay? Stop trying to spoil grandkids because you just say, that's my job to spoil. No, it ain't your job to spoil a grandchild either. Okay? So stop acting like that you have never been a parent. Because what you're doing is messing it up for your child to be a parent to their children. You didn't want nobody telling you how to raise your kids. Stop trying to tell your kids how to raise their kids. Okay? That's for the grandparent. Now, for the parents, let me give you some good parenting advice, all right? For the parents, always treat your children based on their age. In other words, don't let a 3-year-old act like a 16-year-old. Okay, I don't care how smart they are, they still 3 years old. Don't let a 16-year-old act like a 21-year-old. They're still 16. So what do I mean by that? There's not a child that's in your house that knows what's best for them. Stop acting like they do. Stop asking your children, do you want to do something? Like they are smart enough to make the decision. You don't ask them nothing. You tell them what's good for them. Okay? That's the dumbest thing I ever came across. People, you ask a parent, you want your child to do this? Well, let me ask them. Like they're going to make the wise decision. They're not. They're going to make the decision based on their age. The 12-year-old's going to make a 12-year-old decision. The 6-year-old's going to make a 6-year-old decision. The 17-year-old will make a 17-year-old decision. Have you forgot some of the decisions you made when you were teenagers? Have you forgotten some of those decisions? Well, your 16-year-old's making the same stupid decisions. Why are you asking them if they want to do something? You tell them. Now, the other advice I'm going to give you is this. It's simple. Always make the punishment fit the crime. But always tell them the punishment ahead of time. Okay? Because they have a right to be punished. Now, y'all didn't get that, but I'm going to tell you again. When you're driving down 264, generally speaking, what is the posted speed limit? 55. And you know the penalty for speeding, don't you? Ahead of time. But you elect to speed, don't you? Now, if you speed and you get a ticket, you just shut your mouth and get a ticket and pay it. Why? Because you knew you were speeding, and you said to yourself, I'll accept it. See, children need to understand that sometimes you can take a calculated risk. But they also need to understand there's consequences to taking the calculated risk. Right? Just like my son, I give you the same example, he'll tell you, I ain't lying to you. He took a calculated risk, which is he said to himself, you know what? Whatever he was doing, he said, this party is going on too good for me to leave and come home on time. Okay? No problem. But he knew the consequences up front. If you come home late, you gonna stay outside. I don't care what your mama say, you gonna stay outside. And you know his mama said some things, but my response was loud and clear, he gonna stay outside. That's just the way it is. Now I'm going to bed, and I better not wake up and he's inside snoring. And that's just it. And I'm a light sleeper, so I won't play in that. All right? Now, but you know what? And see, then when the next day came, there was no argument. None. You know why? Because the punishment had already been administered. See, when you punish a child fairly, they will still respect you and love you. Because they know it's coming. And if you are consistent with it, they will love you, but they will respect you, and they will feel worse if they lose your respect than you ever thought possible. Okay? I can tell you, one of the times that I watched my son cry was when I did not punish him. I just looked at him and said, I can't believe that you would do me like that, and just walked away. And tore him up. Huh? Yeah, tore him up. You know, and I administered no punishment that day because I was so mad that I knew if I administered some punishment, it would be outside the realm of reality. Yes, sir.
I sit back here beating 100 miles an hour just listening to you because that's all true, and I trust me, I agree with totally all that, but I'm a grandparent now, you know, and
Me too, by the way.
Right, and I got 12 grandkids that I get 4 of them every week. Now the thing is, some years back when they was young, You know, I taught them about chores when they come into my house. Even when they're at their mama house and I go there, if they ain't took care of what their responsibility was, they don't go with me to my house.
Right, right.
You understand?
That's a good thing.
I never put my hands on them.
Right.
Never. That's what the part is.
No, me either.
I never put my hands on them because they're not my kids.
Well, no,
They got a mama and
I
a
agree
daddy.
with you.
They're not my kids. I never will put a hand on them. But what I do, when they come to my house, they already know what to expect.
Right.
They already know what to do when they come to my house. And
Right.
not to say directly what to do, but they know granddaddy gonna give them some chores to do.
Right.
Because I want them to grow up being responsible.
Well, you and I are saying the same
I'm
thing.
a jack of all trades and carpenter. So I got 3 of them that when I go do side jobs, that build a deck, build a shed, or do ceramic tile or drywall, I take 3 of them with me to
Right.
teach them, but I pay them.
Right.
I
Right.
pay them because I want them to learn financial
No,
responsibility.
we're saying the same thing.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
I never put my
no,
hands on
no.
them.
I didn't say I put my hands on my son. Remember? I didn't say that. I said that the Bible says it. Hold on.
Yeah, I know that. I know
I'm
that
saying that's what the Bible says. Now, hear what the Bible says. It says, chasten thy son, right, while there is hope, right? And it says what? And let not thy soul spare him for crying. What that's saying is simple. Is that, listen, you don't use your heart when you're what? Chastising your child. I'm not telling you or anyone in here to spank their
There's
children.
more to it than actually physically.
No, I know. Let me finish. I'm not telling anybody in here to physically whoop their children, but the Bible does say spare the rod, spoil the child.
Right.
I'm just saying, it's in the word now.
Yeah.
The word does not go against you. I personally didn't spank my children. I didn't do it. But, right, because I just laid rules down. The rules were simple. Like, for example, come home, curfew, you just outside that night. Don't bring home a passing report card, you get 0 for Christmas. I just had rules, but I'm saying this. My point is, you treat your grandchildren with the same sternness that you treat your children. If you didn't spank your children, then don't spank your grandchildren. If what you did with your children was you punish them in different ways, then you punish your grandchildren in different ways. My point is, don't punish your children and then let your grandchildren run amok. And don't tell your children, well, they just kids, and as a grandparent, my job is to spoil them. It's not. Your job is not to spoil. That's my point. That's all I'm saying. That's what the Bible is telling us. So I'm not disagreeing with you. What you're saying is is right in line with what I'm
You look at
what
all
I'm saying.
these young kids going to prison, all these young kids shooting. Where you think it started at? If
Home.
you don't give your kids the attention that is needed,
Home.
what do you think they gonna do? They gonna go out there and find it.
Home, right? And that
If they can't get it at home, they gonna get it in the street.
you better know it. That's right. And I'm not saying children don't make mistakes. Listen, children make mistakes. They do, right? And that's my point. See, but what we have to do is allow them to pay the consequences of their mistakes. See, that's learning. More learning takes place when you deal with the consequences than when you don't. The experience is a good teacher. I'm telling you right now. Yes.
Especially when they're
The
young.
question I have is, say you've got a 16, 17-year-old and they've made a mistake and they realize it and they are punishing themselves. I don't believe in punishing them more, except they, they're crying and they're feeling really badly.
Right.
And they're not, they're not getting any bold. That's really how they feel.
Right.
I kind of used to think that when my kids, and that only happened once or twice.
Right,
But when my kids would come to me and admit their mistake.
Right, they made a mistake.
And you're making fun of me again.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to get to the point. Let me say this.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean, but listen to me. Listen to me what listen. I want everybody to understand this. You all can make 100,000 excuses why you don't listen to the Bible. You got a right not to follow the Bible. But don't try to convince me the Bible is wrong.
No, I'm not.
I'm telling you point blank. See, if the Bible says chastise them, that's what the Bible says. It doesn't say if they chastise themselves, let it go. It is what it is. I'm just saying it is. See, our problem, I got you, brother. Our problem is not just with this. Our problem with most stuff in the Bible, we try to, in ourselves, normalize how we think rather than saying, let me just do what the Bible says. But the Bible isn't saying this for us to think, well, you know what, I did it another way. And by the way, there's a verse in here that tells us that too. It ain't got to it yet. Hopefully we probably don't get to it because it's already 13 minutes to go. But you know, I mean, I'm not trying to get, you know, cut you down, Liz.
I know.
I'm just saying that's the reality of it. You know, we just like to act like what the Bible says can be modified. And I'm saying, why modify? Just go along with it. I mean, you got two choices. You can do it or not do it. You do not do it. But if you're not going to do it, then just get ready for the result of you not doing it. And just take it like a man. Take it like a woman. Right? Simple. If the Bible tells me to, for example, forget the child. If the Bible tells me to treasure my wise wife.
Your whose wife?
Wise, W-I-S-E. If the Bible tells me to treasure my wise wife, and I am stupid enough not to treasure her, and she leaves me for another man, I can't get mad at the other man. I gotta get mad at me. I can't say, well, if you let him sweet talk you. No, because if I was doing my job, he could have said anything he wanted to say, and she would not have walked away from me. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes I'm just as me. I'm just as human as you all are. Sometimes I look at this stuff in the Bible and I say, Lord, that's a hard one right there. I don't know if I can deal with that one. But you know what? I just got to suck it up and say, you know what? That's what it says. Let me just do it and let the chips fall where they may. And just trust that God will do what he said he's going to do. Well,
I think I need to make an appointment with you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I just want to say I agree totally hard what you're saying about rules and regulations, because back in the days when the street lights came on, I had rules and regulations. I had to be in the house. All there was consequences.
There was some consequences and repercussions.
That's simple.
And there was some tough consequences
Yes,
back
it
when I was
was.
coming up. Yeah. Many times shoe got thrown at you. And all this kind of stuff. So whatever y'all, you know, again, you know, you listen, everybody grown. I'm just telling you what the word says. Okay? 19, 25, and 29. A man of great wrath shall suffer punishment. For if thou deliver him, yet thou must do it again. 25. Smite a scorner, and the simple will beware, and reprove one that have understanding, and he will understand knowledge. 29. Judgment are prepared for scorners, and stripes for the backs of fools. You know, all three of them say basically the same thing, but just in different ways. And here's what they're saying. That people that are wise learn from the experience of others, just like they learn from the experiences of themselves. People that are fools, generally speaking, have to go through the same experience 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and sometimes never learn. Okay? That's basically all that's saying. At some point, we have to be honest about why we keep going through the same thing. See, if you're going through the same thing, this applies to you. Just in practical life, okay? Just in practical stuff, right? If your experiences in life are that you keep having the same problems over and over again, that means you are not learning at all. You're not learning at all, okay? So y'all follow me? Okay, now don't get mad at me now, okay? Don't get mad. Don't get mad. If you've been married over 2 times, you a fool.
Uh-oh.
Now you,
What if they both died?
okay, let me say it differently. If you've been married over 2 times because you divorced the first one and the second one, If they both died, then you a murderer. You're not a fool. You took till death do you part, a little bit too literally.
I'm a black widow, in other words.
You know I'm just messing with you, Leah.
I do.
But here's why I say what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. Listen, because the first time, okay, I'll give you credit for making a mistake, right? But the first time you should have asked yourself two simple questions. What did I learn? Not just from the marriage, but what did I learn from how to select a marriage partner?
Right.
Because I selected this person that I now cannot live with. So what did I learn? What did I learn from that process? Or did I just blame the person that I divorced and say they crazy? They did all this stuff. They did this. They did that. But you selected them. So that means your process is somehow faulty. So you gotta change how you select them. So you gotta now start saying, wait a minute, if you over a certain age and you keep dating and that fall apart 2 years, and you date and you fall apart in 2 years, and you date and it falls apart in 2 years, unless you just want it to fall apart, then okay, if that's what you want, it's one thing. But if it's falling apart because the person is always, you got to kick them to the curb, or they walk out on you and then you hurt, something's wrong in your selecting process. You're not learning. You're going through the same thing all the time, but you're not learning from it. It's just that simple, okay? And it applies in friendships as well. It applies, it cuts across the board in all that kind of stuff. That if you, as I tell my staff all the time, and I tell them because I mean it in the bottom of my heart, we are the slowest learning people in the world. We have slow learning curves, you know? I'm serious. I'm gonna say this, and two of them are in here right now, but I ain't talking about y'all, all right? Well, I know he back there too. I'm just saying, because y'all in here. Now listen, God help me too. I was in a staff meeting on Tuesday, and I said in the staff meeting, I said, the reason why we can't work in teams is because people want to be right rather than solve the problem. And somebody said 2 minutes after that, but I know what I'm talking about. Am I telling the truth?
You're telling the truth.
Do you remember that? And I thought to myself, I just said it.
It was not me.
It was not her. It was nobody in this room. But you know, I'm thinking to myself, how can you be so slow at learning? I know it sounds weird, but we all do it all the time. We do it all the time. Anytime you have a bad experience, what you should do is not find out what the other person did, but find out what you did. Every bad experience should ask you internally, what did I do? Because if you don't, it's gonna happen to you again. Just that simple. Okay? All right. Am I making sense so far? Okay. Verse 20. You watch what happened next Wednesday. You watch. So y'all, I didn't say you all were slow. I said I got some slow staff members. But you know there's some, never mind, I was going to make a joke, but it was a bad joke, so I ain't going to make that joke. Okay. Your counsel.
Wait, before you go on, can you say something good about your staff?
I got the best staff. I got the hardest working staff in the world. Listen, my staff loves me. Yeah, that's right. They had me in tears for Boston's Day. Had me in tears, literally. And you know what? I saw the plaque, when I came in today and I saw the place, they just put it in a conspicuous place for me to see it. They just talked about how wonderful I was. And I was all choked up inside. I said, if I had 5 more just like him, I could rule the world. They are good people. Now, they're good people. They're good people. They're good people. They're good people. But see, here's the thing. See, if you keep telling them they're good all the time, they'll stop trying to be better. That's why you got to tell them, y'all, the craziest people I've ever seen in my life, so they can try to be better, right? No, they're good people, though. They're good people. Yes, sir.
I think this probably the place I should bring this up, but and this happened last, in fact, Sunday when I got out of church. When I left church Sunday morning, I got a friend or had a friend, and I had a lot of tools in my shed. So this was like 3 years ago. During that time, I was drinking beer at the time, so I wasn't fully competent. We went to his house, and in his shed, he had a brand new compressor, but he didn't want it. So I asked him how much he want for it. As I told you, I've been drinking. I got 3 compressors at home already.
Right.
So he said, give me $75. So I gave him $75, and that compressor sat there for 3 years. So yeah, I got compressors at home.
Right.
So Saturday that just passed, I called him and tell him I was coming and pick up my compressor I had it 3 years ago. He said, I went and picked it up Saturday evening. Man, it was a brand new compressor. And the top cover compressor on. You know, hooked a hard starter to it. You know what a hard starter is? You see them over there with AC, the jump starter, starter AC. You know, hooked a hard starter to the compressor. So I got mad. And I'm literally telling you that, and I'm gonna get to the point of why I say I think this is where I should bring this up.
Sure.
I got mad in a way of saying, I just grabbed a compressor and I said, well, that's all right, man, this all right. I didn't want to hear his reason.
Right.
When it was a brand new compressor. I said, that's all right, man, I'm gonna throw it away anyway. But I said it in an aggressive way. I know the difference between assertive and aggressive. Right. I said it. So when I got home, I thought about it, and I kept talking about it, and I'm already saying, this man is messed up with the compressor, I had to pay him $75. So I came to church Sunday, and the sermon you preached that Sunday morning gave me some insight on it don't matter, about the compressor. In fact, if it's anything, you should blame yourself, Shirley, because it shouldn't have been there for 3 years. I got in my truck, and I prayed to the Lord because the inner part of me, the flesh wanted to say, man, just say no. But the inner part of me wouldn't let it go and kept saying, call him. Call him and tell him that you sorry by the way you came off on him.
Right.
And saying you gonna just throw the compressor away. That was all negative.
Right.
And I was telling him, and then I did call him. And I said, Kurt, don't say nothing. Just let me tell you what I want to tell you first. Right? I say, don't say nothing. So then he let me break it. And I say, it ain't about the compressor, man.
Right.
Trust me. I say, that's dead and gone. As a matter of fact, the guy jumped there and came by there and picked it up Saturday evening. Right? That's dead and gone. I said, don't what? I said, Kurt, right now, I'm asking you if you can forgive me. I really am sorry the way I came off on you.
Right.
Can you please forgive me? Boy, like I opened a big can of worms when I said that. Because he went on to ninth yard talking about, let me explain the compressor. I said, Kurt, it ain't got nothing to do with that compressor. I just want to make the amends with you saying I'm sorry.
Right.
And then he wouldn't let it go. And then I finally got in between the conversation. I said, Kurt, do you forgive me, man? Yes or no? Do you forgive me? He said, I forgive you just like, but he jumped right back in. I said, okay. I said, okay, man. I was right there in the church. But this is the thing right here. Ever since I've been home from that time, I've been home till Monday morning. When I talked to my supervisor about it, it bothered me. It wrestled with me even the night. I couldn't even hardly sleep. I wondered, I did my part and apologize. Why am I having problems? So So I talked to my supervisor because we real tight, and my supervisor said, Philip, he'll call you. He'll call you one day.
Right.
It may be 10 years from now, but he'll call you. So I'm like, I'm trying to let it go, but it's still, because he was a good friend.
Well, see, he's in this text, right? You know what I'm saying? Both of you are in the text in different ways. He in the text because he is a slow learner. But when he does learn, he'll call you. You know?
That's basically what my supervisor told me.
Yeah.
That's roundabout way what he was doing.
Right. When he learns, he'll call you. All right, folks, we're gonna pause. We're gonna stop right there, and we'll start at verse 20 on next Wednesday. All right. All right. God bless you, and heaven smile upon you, and y'all enjoy the rest of the evening.